Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Price, and I work at the Open Infra Foundation, and I'm excited to be your host today for the Open Infra Live covering the newest OpenStack release, 2025.2, also known as Flamingo. Today, we have a great lineup of community leaders from the OpenStack project who are going to talk about not only what was delivered in Flamingo, but also what you can expect for OpenStack 2026.1 Gazpacho. So that'll be a cool one, I hope. Before we get started, I have a few things I wanted to cover. First, I wanted to thank our supporting organizations at the Open Infra Foundation who make shows like Open Infra Live and other things possible. So thank you to all the organizations who support, and especially those who employ contributors who are able to spend time building releases like Flamingo. Upcoming, we do have an event October 27th through 31st, which is very important for our contributors. As you can see, several project teams within the OpenStack project are signed up to participate, including all of the projects that you'll hear about today. So if you like what you hear, if you want to start participating, or you already are, make sure you have these dates marked and that you join the relevant meetings. We'll throw some Etherpads into the chat today for some of the various projects. This is a great opportunity to ramp up your contributions and really get engaged with the different project teams. So thank you to everyone who does participate. These events are very important for the long-term sustainability of OpenStack. I'm not sure if you've seen, but we are running some surveys to improve the contributor experience. And this is really, really important for all of our contributors and maintainers to participate in. If you are a part of a project team as a maintainer, you only need to fill out the maintainer survey. But if you are a contributor, please fill out the contributor survey. And I do want to note, if you participate regularly in multiple project teams, so maybe you do Ironic and Nova or Manila and Octavia, then please fill out the survey that applies to each project separately for each project. So you'll be able to designate which project that you're participating in that survey, fill out your experience, and then start a new survey for each project so we can make sure that the results map correctly. And please note, all responses will be anonymized and aggregated in results that are presented to the Open Infra or OpenStack project teams periodically. So if you have any direct feedback, it will only be visible to Open Infra Foundation staff. So please help us improve the contributor and maintainer experience by participating in these surveys. All right. And if you already contributed to the OpenStack Flamingo release specifically, the Open Infra Foundation created this badge, very pink, like the rest of the logos. So we want you to share this proud moment, because OpenStack Flamingo is nothing without the almost 500 contributors who built it. We can't do this without you, and this is your moment to be recognized. So I put this on the OpenStack Discuss mailing list yesterday. You can also email me at allison@openinfra.dev if you did not receive it and you would like to post it to your social networks or to your local community. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your contributions. So let's get started. As I mentioned, we have a great lineup, and we're going to be talking about what came in OpenStack 2025.2 Flamingo. So to kick us off, I want to introduce Gotham, the chair of the OpenStack Technical Committee.
Thank you, Allison. Firstly, a huge congratulations to the community for this incredible milestone. It's the 32nd on-time release of OpenStack, and in that part, it's unbelievable. I'm incredibly lucky to be a part of this community. It has a storied legacy of 15 years and a lot more ahead of it. So on behalf of the OpenStack Technical Committee, I'd like to recognize and I'd like to thank each and every contributor that made this release possible. And I'd extend this thanks to the wider community that's around us that motivates us to build and maintain this impactful software. Jeremy Stanley drew up some numbers for us, and I think we've seen an increase in the number of contributors and in the number of contributing organizations during the Flamingo release. And that's encouraging. I have a screenshot here from Bitergia, and it includes a subset of repositories, and it sees about 8,000 plus commits that deliver a whole set of features, a whole set of bug fixes, and a lot of closure on technical depth. And so you'll hear a lot more about this in this session. And before I hand it over to the project maintainers, I'd like to take you through some of the governance updates that we made during this release cycle. So first and foremost, we switched our contribution practices to use the DCO, the Developer Certificate of Origin. So for a long, long time, we've been enforcing, contributors sign a CLA, a contributor license agreement, and that's no longer required. I mean, our contributions are now adhering to a DCO, which means that they sign off every commit, and that's basically easing a lot of the contribution pains that we had. And this was also a long-standing desire of the community, so I'm glad we could get it done through this release. We also extended the scope of the OpenStack vulnerability management team. And what this does right now is it covers all of the OpenStack projects. Previously, this was opt-in, which meant that certain project teams for certain deliverables would end up, requesting to be part of the vulnerability management team's purview. But today, this covers um, all of the project teams, not all of the deliverables, of course. I mean, it doesn't make sense a lot of the times to have vulnerability management on a repository that is probably used just for testing or for development purposes. But of course, anything that is user facing and user facing that we think or operator facing, this would be under the purview of the VMT. What this does for the whole community is it establishes that consistency in approach when it comes to security bugs and vulnerabilities that have to be reported. So please do take a look. So if you're ever reporting a security bug against any of the OpenStack projects, there is a really well fleshed out VMT process on the bug intake, the process that the bug goes through to actually get fixed, and so on. And I'm hoping we can keep continuing to improve on that process. We also added an affiliation declaration requirement for TC candidates, which means that we would be very forefront about declaring our corporate affiliations, and this could be more than one. And this allows us a chance to establish the TC's desire for affiliation diversity, which means that no more than 50% of the TC is going to be affiliated with a single organization. And we also adjusted the eventlet removal timeline. So technically, we made a lot of progress through this release. You will hear a lot about it in the slides upcoming. But we did move things around to match reality, and the desire from operators to see some amount of compatibility code that will exist in some releases henceforth. So right now, what we've scheduled is, so with the 2027.2 release, we expect to be completely rid of eventlet. And 2027.1, we would have deprecated eventlet itself from the OpenStack repositories. We also defined the runtime for 2026.1. So this includes a wide gamut of Python versions that OpenStack can run on, the minimum version being 3.10, and we will be testing up to Python 3.13 and fully supporting that. We will also be testing with Python 3.14, and although it will be non-voting test jobs in preparation for the next release. We added a lot of project repositories, 3 of which are Atos, Grain UI, and Nova Contrib. And we deprecated a few, which is OpenStack Ansible tests. We deprecated the shared SDK and OS client config library. So the functionality in these repositories is now superseded by other repositories. So please do take a look at the deprecation notes and adjust your use cases of this. We also retired the OpenStack Helm Infra project and the networking Medonet project. These were long deprecated. And we made some release changes that affected things at the very end of the 2025.1 release. We were glad to add Freezer back. This project is turning out to be useful, especially in the context of migrations from other cloud vendors, and it adds an important functionality to OpenStack. We completed the migrate to Whiskey scripts, and another technical debt item for us, and and we're making some more progress on the other community goals. Next slide, please. All right. Okay. So elections. We had a community election that just wrapped up pretty recently, and it ran for the first time for 3 weeks. This extended election period was useful for us because we were able to bump up the electorate and the voting numbers, and we continually try to improve on that process. So we also encouraged early nominations because very conveniently elections always fall during some holidays somewhere around the world, and for a community that's globally distributed like ours, that's always going to be challenging. And so we want to make sure that we could always submit nominations throughout the cycle, and in preparation for your holiday perhaps and such. We made some TC changes. As part of these elections, Tony Breeds got elected onto the TC, and he takes the place of Ganshap Man, who has been on the TC for a long time, and he's served as a TC chair prior to me. So a lot of the contributions that Ganshap has done over the years, and we hope that he will continue, but he's graciously stepped aside so that he could mentor other folks on the TC. And there's been some PTL changes as well. So 34 teams had elected had self-nominated PTLs, and we do have a first-time PTL and a returning PTL from a long time. We're seeing a release over release of the DPL model, which is having more liaisons carry out all of the tasks, as opposed to a PTL model, is turning up to be a little more popular. So I think there are about 6 teams now that have the DPL model adopted. We did appoint the PTL for the OpenStack Charms project. And we have 3 teams that are yet to have PTL appointees. So if you are a maintainer, a contributor to any of these projects, or just interested in these projects, please take a look. We do not have PTLs, and that's typically a juncture where we start looking for alternatives, such as adding these project markers around there that call out that these project teams may be inactive, and those deliverables may be deprecated in the future. So that's about the election updates. Moving on to Gazpacho. So like Alison put it, we do hope that it's going to be the coolest release, and we'll be able to serve it up to you with a lot of technical debt removal. It's my favorite term these days. We have some community goals that have been going on for a few release cycles. We will continue to focus on those, and a major one of these is event-led, and you'll hear a lot about it at the PTG that Alison mentioned. It's running from the 27th of October through the 31st. And we hope that you'll be able to join us and have a voice. You'll be able to tell us how you'd like the changes in the PTG and impact the project teams across. So PTG is where we will also flesh out all the designs for features for the next release. So please get involved. You can, if you're not able to make it to the PTG, of course, please get involved with the mailing list, and IRC channels. The OpenStack TC channel is on the slide here, and I hope to be able to collaborate with you and speak with you and address all the concerns that you have. So that's all from me. Thank you, Alison.
Yeah, thank you, Gautam. Appreciate it. We don't have any audience questions at this time, so I think we'll just go on to our next speaker. But thank you for all of your leadership in the community. To that point, we do take questions live for this webinar. So if you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, you can drop your questions into the chat, and our speakers will get to them. Even if you have one for Gautam, I can pull him back in and he can answer it for you. So drop those in the chat. We'll be monitoring them throughout the show. Next, we're going to learn what happened with OpenStack Manila this cycle and what we can expect next from Carlos.
Thank you, Alison. Hello, everyone. I'm Carlos. I'm the OpenStack Manila PTL, and it's been a great release. And I would like to walk you through a lot of nice changes that we made, a lot of good things that happened during the Flamingo release, and also cover what's next for us. So first, starting with a feature that we've wanted for a long time, which is bring your own key encryption support for Manila. And that is currently available for shares on the HSS True mode. So whenever you're creating a share, you can specify a key reference. And then that key reference will be used to and configured to the share server. It depends on the driver that you're using and the driver support, but we've wanted this feature for a while, and it's currently available for JSS True, or meaning also the multi-tenancy mode in Manila. So I would recommend to check the documentation for this, and also reach us out if you have any questions. There are a couple of limitations that we'll cover at the PTG. For example, being like people at the moment need to be careful when managing and unmanaging the share servers that have been created using an encryption key ref. And also we are defining a path forward for replicated shares, snapshots, and backups, and everything that is inside the share server. We have a lot of plans for share encryption, and I'll also talk about that in a bit. But another feature that we have worked on in the previous cycle was the targeted share backup restores. So just as we have the share create from the create share from snapshot feature, we've introduced the support for targeted share backup restores to pretty much allow you restoring share backup from one source share to another target share. And that's a nice improvement, and it brings more flexibility to users, operators, and everyone consuming the share backups, which are very recent as well, and we have a generic driver for that. So yeah, I'll recommend checking the documentations and also the release notes for that. And along with those backup enhancements for the targeted restores, we also had some refactoring in the backup driver interface, allowing external backup drivers. So CERN implemented a backup driver based on CBAC, which is RESTIC during the cycle. And it's another very exciting thing, just because you can configure that. You can their CBAC driver is available to consumption, so you can configure that and start doing share backups with backends like Ceph, for example. So it's an awesome idea, and we have some examples of that, also some demonstrations in previous collaborative review sessions that we had. So big thanks for the contributors on this as well. We also had some performance enhancements in our scheduling, meaning we've improved the way that we do calculations for allocated capacity and provision capacity, and a whole bunch of other bug fixes, which and also some enhancements. So I would recommend checking the release notes, the Manila release notes for that, and reaching us out in case you have any questions about the things that we managed to get in during 2025.2 Flamingo. And we also have some driver-related changes, which is pretty much the next big thing that I would like to bring up in the yeah. So NetApp also added the support for the share server encryption, or meaning bring your own key encryption. So you can add Barbican key reference and provide it through the share creation, and NetApp will manage to configure a share server with that Barbican encryption key. And that comes along with the pretty much the share encryption feature, or the share server encryption feature that I just mentioned, that was merged to the core. And also there was another significant improvement to the NetApp driver, which is supporting logical space reporting, and also a new parameter to constrain the maximum number of files on a share. And going to the same vein of driver-related changes, like some big ones, we had several updates to the Dell drivers, as for example, lots of different fixes happening, features being implemented, like enhancements to the ensuring shares, and making sure that whenever you are restarting the driver, or you are running the ensure shares operation, you are configuring like the exports properly, and making some tweaks to that. And a big renaming. There product that was, or the driver that was linked to the Dell Easylon product is now renamed to PowerScale, and it also supports oversubscription management through Manila. So pretty nice thing. There was a lot of updates for the drivers on this cycle. We are anticipating more coming, which takes us to the next step, which is the plans for the 2026.1 Gazpacho release. So first things first, we currently have only encryption for JHSS true, but we are discussing encryption for shares as well, not only for share servers, and also addressing the non-open items that I just mentioned, which are encrypted shares, manage, and working around all of that and making sure that we can also encrypt all of that. So that's one of the things that we are planning on, update it and keep sharpening or keep enhancing this feature and making sure that we are addressing any operator feedback and also adding support to more and more drivers. Also, QoS support or quality of service support for shares for exports was merged in upstream Ceph. So we are also planning to make that as an enhancement to the CephFS drivers in Manila. So we are also planning to work on that, and also Ceph support for bring your own key that ties up with the encryptions that we want to make for the share encryption feature, which is currently related to share servers only, but we also would like to make the updates to make it work with shares, so that we can also update and make the bring your own key feature with Ceph available. And another feature that we are planning to take a look at and work on is booting from a volume with the generic driver, and a couple of other TechNet items or things that are as important for us, such as the V1 API removal, also dropping the Manila CLI utility in favor of OpenStack CLI. We've reached parity a while ago, and now it's time to drop the Manila CLI utility. We've added deprecation warnings and emails a while ago, and now it's going to be time to actually remove this. And also JSON schema validation and the Open API documentation, which you have been working on for a while now. And we are planning to discuss and planning to fix a lot of that through the Gazpacho. So all of the topics that I just mentioned, they're going to be discussed at the PTG. So we have some slots booked on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 14 to 16 UTC. So if in case you'd like to bring up something that's not on the list, there's a lot that's not on the list, of course. Those are some of the topics that we have been talking about. But if you'd like to bring up something to the Manila community, being a different topic, a feature that you would like to have implemented, or anything that the Manila team can help you with, please add the topic to the Etherpad that's linked in the live and also in the slide, and come talk to us. We'll be happy to have you. And last but not least, I would like to thank all of the contributors from Manila and every single one of you that dedicated time to making this release happen, and also these awesome features and fixes and enhancements. And you made the whole difference to this project, and we had another successful release with lots and lots for users and operators to be really happy about. So thank you to everyone, and that's a wrap for Manila.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Carlos, and thank you for your leadership for the Manila community. I know it's a really important team, and they are lucky to have you as the PTL. So thank you. And I want to echo what you said. Thank you to all the contributors who made this release happen for Manila. Thank you for that update. We don't have any questions now, so we're going to keep on going. The next speaker is Renee from Nova.
Hello. Thanks, Alison. So I'm René. I'm the PTL for Nova. So I'm gonna start with a couple of statistics for the Flamingo release. So we have accepted 14 blueprints and we have implemented 9. So this is good for this cycle. Regarding bugs, we have at least merged 26 bug fixes. I would like to highlight a particular fix in placement. This fix improves scheduling when compute nodes are over capacity. We think that it will make operators' life easier. I know this was highly anticipated by operators. And by the way, if you want more details about this, I will give a presentation about some part of a presentation about it at the next Open Infra Summit. So again, kudos to the team for the hard work. This was a good cycle. Maybe a latest note is this release is a slurp release. So if you are upgrading on annual cadence, I do not encourage you to skip this release, but that will be possible. Next slide, please. Okay, so going through the Flamingo features, the first one, so we have introduced flavor and image metadata in the libvirt guest XML. So the usage of this is it might help for troubleshooting, as well as if you are for observability, you can retrieve instance information without performing extra Nova API calls. So good for performances. Next release, our two next features are about role-based access control. So these two features were started in the previous cycle, and we managed to complete them in this cycle. So the first one is the introduction of a manager role. This role is scoped at the project level, and the typical usage of this role is to allow users with this role to do, as an example, live migration without requiring full admin rights. So yes, an improvement regarding flexibility in the role for your users. The next one is the introduction of the service role. This role is not really dedicated for humans. This is a role for improving security by having just the correct amount of privileges for cross-services communications. The next feature is OTU, which stands for one-time use. So it is mainly dedicated to pass-through devices, especially PCI devices. So a common use case involves NVMe devices. They can be defined with the OTU features and allocated to VMs. However, when the VMs are destroyed, these devices will not automatically become available again. Instead, they will be placed in a pool in a reserved state. So operators can clean them before returning them to the available state. So in addition to these features, we have also created an external contrib repo. And sorry, it was on the previous slide. So we have created an external contrib repo, and we have provided some examples to show to give an example how to clean the devices, the NVMe devices, and all of that. Okay, next slide this time. So part of the previous cycle, we have introduced console management using Spice. And in this cycle, we managed to complete these features by adding the USB controller config as well as the soon device support. So this is really interesting for VDI use cases. The next features is quite technical, so I will not go into too much detail, but we enabled the usage of memory balloon auto-deflate. This is now supported by QEMU, and the idea is to improve memory efficiency and reduce the risk of the out-of-memory killer activation. Again, this cycle, so until now, Nova has the support of AMD SCV. And in this cycle, we introduce AMD SCV ES, which is an extension of the, let's say, protocol. And the idea with this extension is to protect your guest memory and also the CPU registers. So that's good because it is a good step forward in extending confidential computing capabilities in Nova. Okay, and our latest features, which is experimental. So the Nova team decided to divide the eventlet removal efforts into 2 cycles. So in this release, we introduce the first step of this measure change. So now you can run the API, the metadata, and the scheduler services in threading mode. This can be enabled using an environment variable. So a lot of efforts was done on these features, and we would like to encourage operators to help us by extensively testing these features. So if it's possible, please run non-productive environment in this mode, and please share your feedback, positive feedbacks via the mailing list, or negative ones through bugs and in our bug tracker. I'm sure your contribution will be highly appreciated by the team, and I thank you in advance for that. Latest slide. So the VPTG for us, we will start probably on Tuesday up to Friday from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. So as usual, we will start the VPTG with the Flamingo retrospective, as well as the Gaspacho deadlines. Part of the subject, we will discuss the phase 2 of the eventlet removal and how to change the services to run the remaining services to run them in threading mode. We will have more discussions also on the security features. So we will probably discuss the introduction of SCV, SNP, which is another extension. We will discuss about firmware detection, and also probably how we can leverage the code to make it more generic for the introduction of this kind of security features for other vendors like Intel or ARM. Another topic, interesting topic about placement. We currently have, let's say, a performance issue with the scheduling of PCI and vGPU devices in placement, and with this discussion, we would like to discuss how we can tackle this problem and make it more efficient for everybody. Let us point about Cyborg. So we know that with Cyborg, we have not merged some patches. And what we would like to discuss is how we can close the gap and maybe have a better integration with Cyborg. We will discuss that at the PTG. If you are interested by these topics, please join us at the PTG. And of course, this is just a subset of what we will discuss. If you want to discuss something more or another topics, please add your topics in the link for the VPTG below in this slide. And I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Great update per usual, and great to see all of the activity happening in Nova. I'm particularly excited about the Cyborg integration. I think that comes up with a lot of the OpenStack for AI work we're doing. But thank you. We don't have any questions still, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to the next community leader. So Yuri is going to talk to us about OpenStack Ironic.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Alison. I'm Yuri. I'm the event liaison for Ironic since we are following the DPL model, and I'll share some information about Flamingo. We have 434 commits during this release and 57 contributors to Ironic in all projects that we have. So thanks everyone for all the great work that you did to make possible this amazing release. Some of the highlights that we have. Ironic has fully transitioned from eventlet to native OS threading. We have an amazing blog post by Julia Krieger regarding this, so check it out if you have a chance. There was the requirement of Ironic Spectre, Ironic Lib, and Metalsmith also. One of the great things that we have during this cycle, it was the enhanced inspection capabilities for Redfish. We had support for inspection hooks and inspection rules for in Ironic directly for the Redfish driver. We also added automated cleaning via runbooks, and basically now this provide the operator a declarative in impact to the imperative in-band step detection model that will allow operators to define, standardize, and reuse cleaning workflows when they desire upfront in their deployment. We have improved the observability with the steps. Now we have the details captured in the node history. This is useful for have detailed insights when you are provisioning and doing maintenance operations, and for troubleshooting and auditing your bare metal nodes. We also improved the firmware updates for Redfish. We had support for NIC firmware updates via the Redfish interface. And we also had an important security update. It was the OpenStack Security Advisory 2025-01. Ironic fails to restrict paths when use file image URLs. So check it out if you have a chance. We'll be having the PTG in the end of October. Some of the topics that we'll be discussing are related to network, like dynamic port groups, VXLAN, Neutron less switch configuration. They are quite interesting for folks using standalone use case. We'll be talking about the increased concurrency in Ironic. This is like the post-event-led world that we will be facing now. Potential NVMe and Cinder storage enhancements. We'll also be talking again about graphical console, some follow-up to see where we stand in this path. Also, snapshotting, it's quite interesting, and of course, many, many more. So please, when you have a chance, come to the PTG and check it out. There's these amazing discussions. So the PTG will be from 27 to 31. Our agenda can be found in the link, the Etherpad Ironic PTG 2026.1. We'll be having sessions from Monday till Thursday from 13 UTC to 17, and the room will be Mitaka. So feel free to hang out with us and discuss about the amazing topics that we'll be having this PTG. In the next coming weeks, we'll be sending out an email with the topics that will be discussed for each day and the time slot, so people can check the agenda and only come for the topics that they are interested. And feel free to reach out to the Ironic team on OFTC RSC, OpenStack Ironic, or even via the OpenStack mailing list.
All right. Well, thank you, Yuri. It's a great update about Ironic. Really appreciate all of your leadership as well as the other liaisons and keeping this community strong. So thank you for the update. And we'll now pass it on to our last speaker of this episode, which is Brian from the OpenStack Neutron team.
Thank you, Allison. My name is Brian Haley. I was the Neutron PTL for the Flamingo cycle, and I'm the current Neutron PTL for the Gazpacho cycle as well. So just some statistics from the last cycle. Across the three core Neutron repositories, which are Neutron, Neutron lib, and Neutron Tempest plugin, we had 293 commits, and those were from 39 different contributors. And a number of those were actually first-time contributors, which is great to see. 1/3 of those roughly were bug fixes. So 94 bug fixes were merged, which is great. That allowed us to keep our bug backlog lower by the end of the cycle than from the beginning of the cycle. So that was great to see. And so I just wanted to say thanks to all the people that contributed and continue to contribute to the project. So some of the highlights, the first one, Neutron is completely transitioned away from EventLint to use native OS threading. We started this in 2020 cycle. We completed it for the API and RPC servers, all of the agents, the workers, and all the other associated code that goes along with that in this cycle. So there were at least 21 changes this cycle that I counted. And I just wanted to give a big thanks to Rodolfo for leading that effort. It would not have been done without him. In addition to that, we are in the process of replacing the OVN metadata agent with the OVN agent. The OVN agent can completely replace it with just a pluggable metadata extension, and this allows us to reduce the amount of work that we have to maintain this extra agent. Some other things that have come up a lot of times from some of our customers and bigger clouds is when we have to sync the Neutron database with OVN. Sometimes the scripts were stepping on some of the resources, so we've better updated that code to not step on some of the resources that they might have custom added to their clouds. We also, in an effort to increase performance for floating IPs, in OVN now we can configure all floating IPs as stateless, and that way all the packets avoid the contract lookups, which should greatly not only improve performance, but improve memory footprints. And then finally, our last highlight was we added the custom API policy rule for context with global access, which in layman's terms allows for roles such as an auditor role. In some of the bigger clouds, people are asking for these features. So upcoming at the PTG in a few weeks, obviously, we'll do a good retrospective of what went well and didn't go well. There's always things on both sides of that. Also, we have a lot of planning to do to continue the EventLint removal. Although we've changed all the running code to get rid of it, the unit tests and functional tests still have some work to do. Some of that is already in flight. And then we also have to merge some of the tests from functional to Tempest so that we don't lose any test coverage of our code. And there are also a number of Stadium projects under the Neutron umbrella that also need EventLint removal done there. That was started this Flamingo cycle, but we'll continue it, especially once the testing gets removed. We'll continue that this cycle as well. One of the things that has been going on for a number of cycles is removing usage of the Neutron client libraries, going to use the networking libraries, networking client libraries. This work has mainly been driven by Laos from Ericsson, and he is continuing that. I know he's working on the Nova portions of it now, but we continue to do that so that we can finally migrate away and deprecate Neutron client library eventually. One of the major new features that we're planning for 2026.1 is for OVN BGP integration. For those of you that don't know what this means, earlier this year, the OVN team introduced a lot of BGP functionality that brought it on par with the OVN BGP agent, which is another repository under the Neutron umbrella. And with that work, we're able to add code to Neutron to basically remove that agent so that we can, again, get rid of code we have to support, kind of bring some of the core reviewers back into the Neutron core team, and more use the OVN code that's built in. So it will greatly help the project at meeting needs of our customers. One of the other things that's been noticed recently is that for customers running ML2 OVS clouds with HA, we've seen some pretty bad memory issues in those clouds. And so we're going to try to address the memory footprints when we're deploying L3 HA clouds. And then finally, it's also been noticed recently, again, these are all found by customers and users, that certain cloud workloads are really stressing parts of our infrastructure. And we found that trying to cache metadata things in the agents, in our metadata agent, will greatly help not only the devices get answers to their metadata requests quickly, but also not stress the Nova metadata endpoints at all. So we're looking at how we can do that over this next planning cycle as well. And then just a reminder, so that, it's obviously the week of the 27th, 31st. We're meeting from Tuesday to Thursday. And if you have any other topics, please add them to the Etherpad, and we will try to plan and add you to our schedules. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brian. And thank you to all of our speakers for this episode. It's incredible how much our community gets done in each release. And I'm excited for the next one, which is Gazpacho. They all been talking about. And as they've all mentioned, the PTG, which is later this month, October 27th through the 31st, all of their teams, as well as another dozen OpenStack teams, will be there working hard towards this OpenStack Gazpacho 2026.1 release. So if you're interested in attending, it's virtual, it's free. So please join us and become one of these incredible contributors who make OpenStack as amazing as it is. Another event that I'm very excited about that kicks off in 2 weeks from tomorrow, which is very exciting, albeit a little terrifying, is the Open Infra Summit Europe. So we are going to be hosting this at École Polytechnique near Paris. It's about a 20-minute train ride from Paris Central. But we have a lot of really great content lined up around VMware migration, AI, especially around using OpenStack, which I think is a really great topic the community has been discussing, and we'll be publishing a white paper at that time as well, and many, many more topics. So if you haven't registered and you're able to make it, please join us. And I, of course, want to thank our amazing sponsors who are making this event possible. So join us in Paris and learn more about OpenStack and how you can get involved contributing. So that's it for today. We didn't have any questions, but great to see some folks appreciating the rundown that our contributors were able to give this afternoon, morning, or evening for you. We do Open Infra Lives periodically on Thursdays at 1400 UTC. So keep an eye out on our social channels and mailing lists for the next episode. And in the meantime, have a great time with Open Infra.